Hey everyone, welcome to Silver Tears Tarot. Of course, welcome to those of you who are new here. So those of you who saw the last reading, so the one I did yesterday, know that today I was planning to dig in to what your person would say to you if they were given the opportunity to say anything they wanted to, but without repercussions. And it's partially at the behest of, of that divine masculine that you guys know I've been talking with. So when I talked with him, he reports feeling very much like he's unsure about what to do to move forward. But he's still trying to work through his own emotions enough to be able to talk about them, to be able to, put them into words. So for him and for all of you, that's what we're going to look into, what your person would tell you if they could. So, as always, it's a general reading. It's not going to resonate with everybody. And as I'm fond of saying, it shouldn't. It's going to be the message for the people who belong within this collective, who fit within this collective. And so it's not going to be everybody. And someday it won't be you, even if it has been you. So keep that in mind. But if this fits for you and this is your story, please go ahead and subscribe. Take a look at some of the older videos because there are a lot of really good messages that come out, and these readings all love to reference each other. So we're going to start by getting that energy that's in that backdrop between the two of you. The energetic backdrop is often the place that I like to begin because it changes with your moods. It changes by the day. And so you never know what's going to come out with the energetic backdrop. We've got the Star card, the Alpi card, and so in this deck there are a lot of neat symbols. A lot of neat symbolism shows up here in the Chrysalis deck. Here in this one, there's this sense of something coming down from the heavens, and something that's really, it's being well received, and it's something that they've been wanting and hoping for. That's essentially what's happening within the energy between the two of you. We saw yesterday that there was this feeling of the two of you, kind of this approach and avoid feeling that your person has as far as moving toward you in reconciliation. But there was also overall this realization of the bond that the two of you had was fairly inevitable, and that you would be moving closer together, at least toward a reconciliation, even if not a reunion. But again, if you want to see that, that was yesterday's reading. It's not a bad one, and I think both the reading and the extended got into some pretty good territory. So we're kind of basing this on that energy plus whatever's happening today. So we definitely see that sense of hope between the two of you, and that feeling of almost inevitability. It's like they know it's coming, you know it's coming, it's just a matter of when. We've had this Ace of Swords that has started coming out for us again. It came out both in the YouTube reading and in the extended reading yesterday, only it was coming out in the upright. It was about assimilating new truths into the worldview. So when we look at it today, there is this feeling that things have gotten a little bit difficult in that regard. So you can only take in so much before you have to have a break and just kind of deal with maybe what you've assimilated into your worldview. Start thinking about that. So here we have, okay, that's it. I've got this hope. I know it's here. I'm putting it on the back burner. I'm really not ready to absorb any more of these truths. There's maybe even something else that's taking over some of that right now. So it doesn't necessarily seem out of line. It feels like maybe work got busy or something, and they're actually being able to use that as or you, one of you or both of you, is actually being able to use that to get your mind off things a little bit. We've also got this Ace of Pentacles and an Eight of Swords that's coming up right behind it. So the Ace of Pentacles is talking about the door that the two of you have basically between the two of you, and I talk about it sometimes as having like a doorstop on both sides. So it's a swinging door, but it can't open in either direction because it's got some things that are functioning as obstacles on both sides of the door. So that is a little bit, I'm seeing improvement there. I'm seeing improvement, but it's fighting against this fear. And so they seem very evenly matched. The Eight of Swords is talking about a fear that kind of keeps you into yourself. It keeps you in a prison that you are yourself creating. And this Ace of Pentacles is all about opening the door to something new. And so it's this desire to do that. There's this, again, we see this back and forth sort of energy, but right now we also see the energy in this Ace of Swords in reverse that I'm just not ready to move forward. In the Knight of Swords, so we've got the Knight of Swords and the Page of Swords, both in reverse. Swords are about communication. They are also about intellect. They're about being able to think. So they're logic, but there's a lot of transformation in this. It's air energy, and the motion, the potential for motion is great. With the Knight of Swords and the Page of Swords both being in reverse, we see that there is a feeling of that, okay, I'm shrinking back from the situation again. It's a feeling of hiding, a feeling of inconsistency, a feeling of skittishness and not being willing to move forward. It matches really strongly with this Ace of Swords that's in reverse over here, because that one has your person saying, okay, no more. I can't assimilate any more information. These new truths are just going to kind of have to wait. So that's a little bit what we're seeing in there. And yet it's like they can't really stop. There is, we've got the Star card again, and we've got the Death card. So the Death card is about change. And the Star card, this Star card reflects very, very similarly to the way this other one back here is that started this. So the Star card was all about, it's about hope and recognition that something is coming to you as if from the heavens, and yet there's just this sense that it's coming. It's inevitability. Um, it doesn't talk about the delay so much. Usually we hear about that in reverse when the Star card is in reverse, but there is a little bit of an element of that. Sometimes when I look at a card, I'll also get a little bit of its reversed meaning. This is one of those times, but it's not so much about that. Mostly it's about that attraction and happiness and hope and knowing that something is coming. That brings about a little bit of a change for you and your person. The energy between you is changing, despite the fact that it may feel a little bit stagnant because of the Knight and Page of Swords that are in reverse. And of course, those are because of the Ace of Swords in reverse. We've also got this Ace of Pentacles, though, which is that door that is, it's gradually being able to open a little bit more, and it has everything to do with this change. But it reminds me a little bit of the experience that you guys were having before, where we saw you come forward a little bit, you'd learn a little bit of something, but it's like about as far as you could make it with that lesson. And so then it was a matter of you kind of learned the lesson, and you're working into, you have some new experiences which give you a little bit more lesson. And so it's a very slow progression forward, but it is a progression forward. So that is something to think about. Let's see what else wants to come out in this one. And we're still looking at your current energy, just what's flowing between the two of you right now. It's not necessarily a bad energy, and especially when we see this Page of Pentacles in here, and that's all that wants to come out on that one. So the Page of Pentacles is a card of learning, but it's a card of somebody who's willing to behave like a learner, like a student. So here is somebody who is willing to look into something and gather new information from it. It's not just, I understand that I have new information to gather. It's also that I recognize that I need to open myself to it. So both of you seem to be opening yourself to the lessons, but it's more theoretical, I would say, in your person's case, because they see these new truths over here and they're like, nope, I don't really want to deal with it right now. Oh, but I'm open to lessons. And so in reality, they're going to have to be a little bit more open to these new truths that they've experienced and that they've started to see. But when we take a step back and look at the big picture, we see that that has been the direction they've been going. So ultimately, not a bad energy, but it is a little bit of, I'm flooded right now and I can't do anything else with this. But there's still positive change that's happening even in the background. So let's get in here to see what it is that your person would tell you. This is what they would tell you if they had no repercussions for doing so and they were able to put it into words. So the way that I used to ask this question was very much about what would they tell you if they had no repercussions, and like you would forget it right afterwards as soon as they got done talking. What would that look like? But after having the conversations with this divine masculine that I've been talking to, I recognize they are literally not able to put this into words. In fact, he's watching this video for his own experience to say, okay, so what should I be looking for? What am I maybe not being able to say? It's also jumbled up for him. It's very much like that six of swords that we keep seeing in reverse, where things have not calmed down enough to where they can even reflect on what's going on. And he's feeling that one pretty strongly. So let's take a look here. We've got the Ace of Spirals that has come out, and this is essentially um, this is an action of putting out your own fire. So your person has been putting out their own fire because of the fear that they've been experiencing. So maybe they weren't this far along like we see over here in the current energy, where they've been doing some assimilation of new truths, but they're done for now. They just need to take a break. Like this is, I don't even know exactly how I'm going to get to that. This is, I stop myself before I even start. It's very much an energy of getting in their own way. And it's like on some level, they wish you knew that so that you knew how to take it into consideration. They want to be able to cooperate with you. But everything about this is being difficult, partially because of the awkwardness that comes through when they feel like they have to put out their own fire for one reason or another. There's also this kind of, there's something that is non-traditional about the situation that they're unable to really get past. So just like you, this is a situation that has impacted them more than they expected. So if they have a relationship that kind of sort of plays out like the one that you guys have had, generally speaking, they have a very different response to it. So this time they've had a strong response, can't shake it off, haven't been able to really get past it. And it's partially because of the non-traditional nature of it. So something about it is non-traditional in nature. I was noticing that we've got an age difference in some of these relationships. That one just keeps coming out. Differences in race, religion, things that are create politics, things that create a space between people and make it difficult. So we also saw, if you watched the extended, you saw me talk about that Two of Wands again, and that's something that used to come out in a lot of these readings about the impasse that is between the two of you, but we saw that they were using it as an excuse. So it's not so much necessarily that they can't get past it, it's that they won't get past it. They are not necessarily fighting with they're entering the battle with, I just have to win, instead of why am I even doing this. So the why gets lost. We've got a lot of swords that have shown up in this reading in some kind of unflattering places. I pointed at the star and I didn't mean to, but I've got the Ace of Swords, the Knight and Page of Swords all in reverse. Those are difficult to have in reverse. And of course the Eight of Swords, which I'd much rather see in reverse, we've got in the upright. So that means that there's a lot of overthinking, there's a lot of difficulty, and in this case, internal strife and consternation that really is fairly unnecessary. And it's about that putting effort to something, into a battle that it doesn't make much sense to fight. And putting their all into it, like a lot of energy. They hit a wall at some point. Okay, they hit a wall, and while we're talking about walls, they've got this wall that they're guarding that no longer requires guarding, and on some level they were aware of this, but they absolutely haven't been able to ignore it ever since they came in contact with you. And it's like I said before, they can't shake it, they can't seem to get out from under it, and it is something that they wanted to avoid. We saw this tower coming in reverse in a lot of readings for a long time. But now we see it here in the upright, and what they would tell you is that they have been going through an excessive amount of tower sort of energy. This is that emotional, tumultuous sort of, everything has to get knocked down so that it can be rebuilt. There are those walls that they recognize they're still guarding, but they don't know how to stop. They aren't sure how to shut off the need for that sort of desire to guard and remain guarded. So they don't want to struggle against this, but they can't help it. So they know that there's a way out and they just aren't able to find it. With the Five of Swords, or I'm sorry, the Five of Wands, typically the way out, fives are cards of change. Okay, fives are all about change. Here we have a person entering into battle that actually creates a fair amount of change, but they're maybe using their energy in an inefficient way. Here with the Five of Wands, here's a person who recognizes, I really don't want to struggle. I would like it if our efforts were going in the same direction. And that is the potential of the Five of Wands. So this is something where energy could be realigned for everything to kind of go the right direction. But there's a decision they would need to make in order to enable that. And so that is part of, I don't know how they are going to tell you that. Let's get another card because I don't think they even recognize the decision. But I think it's also true with a lot of this. Your person's not in a position to even be able to say some of this. It's something they're going to be able to look back in retrospect and say, all right, you know what? Here's what I think was really going on in this situation back there. So they're refinding their happiness. They have been refinding their happiness and just kind of, my little guy fell back here. But they've been refinding their happiness, and you have been helping them to redesign what their happiness is inside their minds. This Nine of Cups has been very much about that, as and we've seen it come out in so many readings. For a while, it was like the 9 and 10 of Cups were coming out in almost every reading, and it had to do with understanding truly what it is that you want. It was a lesson for both of you, and what your person would tell you is it's you. They figured it out. They thought they had something that they wanted. They thought they were going in a direction that was something they wanted, or they had made a decision earlier on based on old information, but now they have to apologize. They recognize that they have made a mistake, that you would actually be the person that makes them happy. And that is, it feels like there's a lot kind of loaded into that emotion there as well, but there's a strong sense of a desire to apologize. And that's something that I heard it coming out, or I felt it coming out in previous readings. I think it was the one yesterday, but I didn't see the Page of Cups actively come out for it. So here we see that card has come out, and it's actually in What Would They Tell You? So that's the apology. That's the apology energy. They know they need to apologize. That part feels pretty much on the surface, but I don't think they have any idea what to do or what that apology would consist of. They have a lot of options, but those options are not necessarily clear to them. A lot of cloudy options. They aren't sure what to do going forward. They feel like they get everything. They can't get their mind wrapped around it. There's all of this that's sitting in front of them, and they're like, okay, wait, can I do this and that? I can't tell. There's a definite lack of clarity around the options, just like there's a lack of clarity around the emotions. And sometimes with the Tower energy, they get a remarkable clarity about the emotions, and then they need some time to recover from that. And that's a little bit kind of what we're seeing here in this current energy over here. So this is, when they think about what they would tell you, it's how much they would like to work together, but there's a difficult thing. There's a decision that everything hinges on. And if they're able to make that, then all of this is going to become a lot clearer to them. They're going to be able to find some of that clarity that they're missing here and be able to tell you the role that you actually play in their life and make that apology. But they've got to work through the Tower experience and this 9 of Wands, this wall that they continue to guard. It's going to be all about letting go, and it's going to be all about no longer putting their efforts into this really difficult battle that doesn't make very much sense for them to even be engaging in. But they've got to get to that point before they can even understand what's happening there. So when we get into the extended, we're going to look a little bit more deeply into this, but we're also going to look a little bit more deeply into how they're feeling, because I see a lot of that has started to come out over here. But this is, I think we need to look a little bit more deeply into that for you. Before we do, though, we're going to look at the third question here is really, what more do you need to know about this? Because it's an opportunity for more of their messages to come out, and maybe even a little bit about what you should be doing, because that's one of those questions that I love to ask. Okay, so now that we've seen this, what does that mean for you? What do you need to be doing as a result of what's come out here? And so when we look at what you need to know about this, what we need to understand is that there is still a fair amount of unbalance and some things that have to be developed. It's just reiterating what we've seen over and over with the Empress in reverse. This is Gaia, but it's in reverse. The way that it came out, there's transformation that comes from the knowledge that you guys are gaining right now. You have to spend some time really digging into that and understanding what that knowledge is. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to benefit from it and to learn what it is that you both need to learn. So the thing is that you need to remember, and we saw that Emperor and Empress both come out together and in reverse in the last reading, and it might have even been in the extended. But it had all of this energy of, yes, we know there's this bond, but there are things that have to be resolved. This is very much that same kind of energy. All right, so we've got the Four of Pentacles that's come out in the reverse. Once again, talking about a need to let go. So we were just seeing that. I was feeling it over here, that there's a need to let go, to get in a little bit deeper, to understand what's going on. But there's also going to be this need to overcome sort of this depression energy, or a desire to, not really a desire to not move forward, but a lack of a desire to be motivated, or lack of motivation to move forward, I guess is really what I want to say. That is something that both of you are going to have to overcome at different times. But the tough thing is that when one of you is feeling it, it's going to bleed into the other one a little bit. So it makes it a little bit tougher to do that. Also, the Moon card wants to come out for you. And in this context, the Moon is telling you that same message that we've seen in the past. You're not going to have all the answers. There is still going to be some of this that is shrouded in mystery. The Moon often talks about mystery. And in this case, it's not so much a warning, just a matter of fact. There's going to be some mystery here. You're going to have to work through some difficult pieces. And then with what we see here with the Four of Pentacles, of course, there's going to be that element of being able to let go. And it's that same thing that keeps coming up for us in a lot of the readings. It's an ability to release your attachments, your expectations, your assumptions around people and situations, and the outcomes of those situations. And that's part of not needing to know what's going to happen, not needing to know what those mysteries are. You're going to be getting to a place where you're able to operate with a little bit more mystery in your life, and a little bit more knowing what's coming, and having to resolve things. This is the same message that we keep seeing come out. This is about you getting to a place where you can resolve things within your mind, but not necessarily have to have that balance everywhere else. So there may still be some things that are out of balance, but you're going to be okay with it. And this is what you're working through right now. There's this sense, and this goes with that Five of Swords energy over here. So your person talks about having this feeling of, I'm fighting for it, even though I'm not sure it's the right thing to be fighting for. The Queen of Wands talks about how you fight for it. So the Queen of Wands in the upright, one of her characteristics is that she gets things done, but she's willing to do it in any way necessary, by whatever means necessary. So here in the reverse, it's a matter of addressing this directly and saying, why are we doing what we're doing? And let's make sure that we're doing it the right way. So that is something that is going to come out for you guys as you're moving through this process. Oh, I think, let's see, did we have one more? No, it doesn't want to be used, but it should be turned back over, back into the deck. All right, let's see what else wants to come out for what you need to know about this. Your person is on the cusp of understanding a lot more about themselves. And so they haven't really told you, but it has a lot to do with them not really understanding what they need to tell you. So we've got, again, this feeling, there's a wounded warrior sort of feeling about the two of you, or between the two of you right now, that is particularly challenging to get past. And it's something that is going to come up. You may notice the feelings of, okay, so here we've got burnout, and here we've got missed opportunity. So these are feelings of burnout and missed opportunity that may be coming out, and they have to come up in order to be resolved. And honestly, when you look at the big picture, everything about it has to be, it has to come up so that it can be resolved. But there's a lot of potential for, success, and you are going to have to drop some things that are maybe not necessary for you to continue holding on to as you move forward. Look for the things to be things that you don't necessarily control anyway. And then we've got this card of integrity. So this feels like something that needs to happen on your person's side. Not necessarily that they have not been a person of integrity so much as they may need to revisit why they're doing what they're doing. We see that over here. Do we know why we're doing what we're doing? Do we understand the best way to go about it, and things that maybe you don't want to do? I am going to go ahead and pull you an oracle card just to get a feel for, and this is an overarching message. It may end up, it's generally advice in nature, but it's something that's going to help us to understand a little bit more in light of the reading that we just had. when we look at everything that we just saw and all the information that came out, what else do we need to know about this? What else do you need to know about this? And I love this deck because it's going to get into, it will not just give you an idea, it will also tell you a little bit about the execution of that idea, or another way to think about it. So here we have the card that says, stay the course. You are moving in the right direction. And we've had a couple of personal readings where that one has come out recently. And it's not surprising to me because in a lot of cases, it's so very true. It's the two of you moving in the right direction, but maybe not at the same pace in a lot of cases. We have a lot of situations where we've got a divine feminine who's, at least a head and shoulders beyond the divine masculine in working through the healing, but there's also that ability to access the messages and the emotions, which is something that divine masculine is still very much working toward. So we're going to get into the extended. We're going to take a look at how your person is feeling a little bit more deeply and just kind of understand if there are any other messages that maybe want to come out for this. So thank you for being here with me for this one. If this is about you, you may want to look at some previous readings and you may want to subscribe. And I would just say, check out that extended if you are so inclined. The link will be down below this video. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.